Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our 45-minute program titled Save with Total Energy Solutions and Procurement. My name is Fran Brixner, Consulting Support Director for APPI Energy, and I'm your moderator for today's webcast. Please note that all participant lines are muted. Please submit questions anytime during the session by using the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. Simply type your question and click the send button. Our presenter today is Ben Etherton, Director of Consulting with APPI Energy. Welcome, Ben.
Thanks, Fran. Good morning, or I guess it's Wednesday, March 13th here at 11 a.m. Eastern. APPI, as you know, has been managing NPFDA, the National Poultry and Food Distributors Association. We've been working with NPFDA for many years now, helping members with energy solutions and services. So I am the Director of Consulting here at APPI. Not sure if any of you have met me. I've been down in Atlanta for many years at the national conference, attending and meeting with clients and meeting other members and learning more about the industry, what you all do, how you use energy, and just your general operations, learning things about hatcheries and feed mills and grain elevators and poultry processing plants and food distribution facilities, warehouses, cold storage, things of that nature. So really enjoyed meeting many of you over the years. Today we're going to talk briefly about the member benefits for being a NPFDA member, as well as electricity and natural gas procurement services and our energy solutions division. So we'll start off with the member benefits. With you being a member of NPFDA, APPI offers our services upfront at absolutely no cost. There's no obligation. You're not tied to us. We essentially put in all the legwork. We go through absolutely everything on our end to do an analysis, prepare a comprehensive breakdown and recommendations for energy solutions for your business, and ultimately come back to you with recommendations. And again, there's no cost, no obligation through that process. What we've done is essentially we've created an energy platform. Here we have a proprietary bidding platform where our clients have access to over 36 of the top tier energy suppliers across the nation. We've done our due diligence on the several hundred that exist in the market space, but have really figured out that quite a few of them don't have appropriate credit worthiness. They don't have favorable contract terms and conditions for you as the end user, and they're not going to be able to appropriately serve you. So out of those several hundred that you probably get inundated with phone calls from, we've really narrowed it down to just the top 36 that serve our clients. And what we're really looking to do on a daily basis for our clients is help out, as we mentioned, we'll dive into a little further with energy procurement. So that's electricity and natural gas contract negotiations, helping to solve the issue of when should you buy your energy contracts and for how long should you hedge them. Additionally, we assist with energy solutions. So we're helping with lighting retrofits, with demand response programs, with anaerobic biodigesters, with all sorts of things, CHP, etc. And that's what our core competency is. Standing behind APPI, you can rest assured knowing that we have an extensive team here. It's not just Ben Etherton out of his basement selling energy. We have a full staff with multiple departments. We have our marketing department. We have a customer service team. We have an operations staff, the C-suite, and all the above. We've been operating for many years now. APPI is considered one of the oldest and largest energy consulting firms in the United States. And we're an independent energy consulting firm, which means that we're agnostic as to which supplier ends up winning your business because we haven't taken any positions. We don't hold stock or have people invested in our business. We are a private independent company that is truly out to serve you best, not the suppliers. One of the beautiful things about our platform is that you all have your own core competencies. You're a poultry processing plant, you're a feed mill, you're a food distribution company, what have you. And when you have your core competencies, you need to be focused on your core business. You need to be focused on processing chickens and all the above. So while you might have people internally that help out with energy procurement, that's not something that they are doing 365 days a year, every single day, looking at multiple contracts across every single market in the U.S., analyzing the energy markets on a daily basis, and truly getting a good feel for how and why the energy markets do what they do. But standing behind you at APPI, you would have us investing all the time, energy, and efforts and resources into figuring out that for you, and then coming to you with solutions and making recommendations. So the second to last bullet point there says it's a minimal time commitment. Instead of you putting forth that effort to watch this stuff daily, you can focus on your core competency while we focus on ours, and then we can come back to you with recommendations. So this is where we work. This map is not out of date, but I would say we can actually service basically any market now. These are just really laying out the primary states in the U.S. for electricity and natural gas deregulation. So these are the markets where you can aggressively go into the marketplace, get multiple extremely competitive offers for both electricity and natural gas. And it's designated by green, blue, or gray according to which ones are great for gas, which ones are great for both electric and gas, and which ones are partially deregulated. So kind of complicated markets, Michigan and California, for instance. But we've done gas supply agreements in Mississippi and many other states across the nation. So confident we can help you out regardless of your location with procurement. Now, when it comes to energy solutions with lighting retrofits, demand response, online data management, CHP plants, the anaerobic biodigesters, things of that nature, there's no geographical limits to that. I wanted to flip-flop here between these two slides. So PJM markets, this is the electricity wholesale day-ahead markets from the past 10 years. This is the natural gas markets. And what you'll notice is a correlation in the spikes. So electricity follows very similarly to natural gas. If there's a huge spike in natural gas, you're likely to see a huge spike in electricity. A lot of this over the years has been driven by the markets, by hurricanes, by the market crash back in 08, 09, by really, really cold winters when we had the polar vortex a couple of years ago that resulted in those drastic spikes you see here. Likewise, something that's kind of interesting that a lot of energy consultants don't talk about often is the changing in the markets. Energy markets are extremely volatile and are changing every single day. So a lot of people talk about historicals. We talk about historicals because it's an important aspect, but it's also really important to mention and talk about current as well as future projections. So what APPI has done really well is tracked the market since the very beginning of deregulation. Again, we're one of the oldest and largest consulting firms in the U.S. We've been seeing this stuff every day for many years now. And one of the things that we've noticed is that while hurricanes in the past, for instance, might have caused a drastic spike in energy pricing, these days it might not. And actually what we saw about a year and a half ago, when we had those three hurricanes back to back to back, unfortunately hitting the South through the Gulf, et cetera, and the Texas, Louisiana, and southern markets, usually, historically speaking, that would have resulted in some very dramatic spikes in energy prices, because a lot of the U.S.'s production of energy comes out of the South historically. Now, more recently, Marcellus up in the Pennsylvania, New York markets, Marcellus Shale, for instance, if you've heard of that, has supplemented a lot of the energy, markets here over the years. So basically what we saw the other year when the hurricanes came through and knocked out, basically turned off power, unfortunately, in the South. Again, that would have created those huge spikes in the past, but what it did this time was, yes, the power was out in the South, but Marcellus was still producing an extreme amount of energy for the U.S., and there was less demand on the markets because of those power outages in the South. So energy prices actually came down during that period of time. If people were only focused on the fact that, historically speaking, a hurricane leads to drastic spikes, they would have been pushing and pushing and pushing for you to sign a contract that day. Whereas APPI was saying, look, we understand that there's alternative sources of power now, and there is this Marcellus Shale area, and when the power goes out in the South, it's unfortunate, yes, but it actually might not cause as dramatic of a spike as you would have seen in prior years. So if you flip back and forth, you can see that there have been spikes during certain periods of time, and it does correlate oftentimes with the electricity pricing. Natural gas has become the #1 producer of electricity in the U.S. over the past several years. Used to be coal-fired power plants. The average age of a coal-fired power plant is over 30 years old. So a lot of those are extremely inefficient and will be coming offline. Likewise, there is increased infrastructure and investments going into building out the grid, to increasing natural gas pipeline infrastructure and things of that nature. So energy markets have started to stabilize some. They bottomed out about a year and a half ago and have since increased quite a bit, but are still well below the multi-year averages. And we have less concern about the dramatic spikes that we've seen in prior years. So here's an example of what we use to really look at the markets. Basically, this is called our blue ocean chart. This is something that we conduct and prepare with the help of our proprietary analytics company. It's a separate entity, but we work exclusively with them. Nobody else has access to this information. So that's called the ERC, the Energy Research Council. They're really the creme de la creme of energy analytics. Think agri-stats and things of that nature in the agribusiness industry. So what a lot of companies say is, look, we've been dealing with energy deregulation for many years, and we always go out to the same suppliers, or we've been using the same broker consultant for many years, and pretty much always Constellation or Direct Energy wins our bids or something like that. Well, if you're not casting a wide net and going out to absolutely every possible supplier, the 4 or 5 or 6 suppliers that you're going out to might only be bidding in the 5.4 to 5.8, 6.2, 6.5 range, whereas 1 or 2 or 3 other suppliers could have been bidding in the 5.2 range. What APPI does with our 36 suppliers for our clients is we go out to all 36 options every single time and ask whoever is willing and interested in bidding on an account to bid on your energy needs. And oftentimes by casting that wide net, there is an anomaly. There's almost always an outlier in the energy industry, and a lot of the times it's not necessarily who you think it might be. So one of the things that we do track on a daily basis too is when a new supplier, or maybe a supplier who has a lot of history, maybe they've been the largest, most competitive supplier in New England, but all of a sudden they're deciding to enter a new market. So they're coming into Pennsylvania, or they're coming into Texas, and they're going to start serving the Texas markets. They've been the most competitive in New England, and now they want to be the most competitive in Texas. If they're coming and entering that marketplace, if all we were doing was still going out to the same 8 suppliers, we might not know that this supplier from New England is all of a sudden starting to serve Texas also. And that supplier that is now all of a sudden entering Texas is trying to gain market share. So a lot of the times when they do that, they come in very, very skinny, sometimes at a loss, just to gain market share, to build up their book of business. And ultimately they can be an outlier in the energy bids, and they can result in some extremely substantial savings for our clients. So APPI looks at that daily. We're updating with those 36 suppliers and adding new suppliers and taking out suppliers that aren't competitive or aren't serving businesses appropriately. So we're on top of that. Here's an example of our deliverable. This is essentially what APPI prepares every single time for our clients, what we're looking at to make our market recommendations. So again, with over 36 suppliers, we're getting offers back for anywhere from a 12 to 60-month contract term length usually. Standard energy contracts are somewhere between 1 to 5 years. A lot of companies will look at 12, 24, 36, 48, and 60-month terms, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. What they don't realize is that occasionally, and this is not going to show you this, but occasionally an 18, 17, 21, 35-month contract, an odd term length, can result in substantial savings. It's called a sweet spot. So APPI always pulls sweet spots as well. A lot of the times what you're doing there is instead of having a contract that expires in August, say your current contract doesn't expire until August of 2019. Well, if you go out a full year, it's going to expire again in August of 2020. You could potentially look at a 9-month contract so that it expires before the summer months. Summer months, historically speaking, can be the highest cost months in the United States. So sometimes by hedging out an odd term length, you're layering out some of those higher cost months, which results in a more attractive price for this contract. So we're looking at all the options, anywhere from 12 to 60 months from 36 suppliers, and we're coming back to our clients and saying, hey, here's our recommendation. Right now, it makes sense to go with 24 months with Constellation at 5399. Or maybe, it makes sense to move forward with Hudson Energy for 60 months at 5247. You never know where that price is going to be the most competitive or who's going to win until you structure that RFP and go out into the marketplace. So APPI's proprietary system does that for you. You'll notice in the notes section a bunch of different verbiage. This is all extremely crucial in the energy negotiating space. A lot of people don't realize all the little caveats that are included in energy prices. We could very easily come to our clients and offer a 1.9 cent pricing. We could offer a fraction of a penny's price, but that price is not going to include everything that you need to include into your generation supply price. Generation costs, your supply piece of your bill in deregulated spaces for both gas and electric, have multiple line items. So in electricity, for instance, there's capacity, ancillary, transmission, line losses, RPS, RMR, all of these different line items that add up into this price of 5399 per kWh. So if you're not including everything, you can see a very low price, but when you get your bill, you're not going to be paying 1.9 cents. You're going to be paying 5.399 because of all those other pass-throughs. So it's not always about just selecting the lowest price. It's about making sure that you actually have everything included and that you're really reviewing everything green apples to green apples. So that's what APPI is doing all the time. We don't like saying apples to apples because there's a drastic difference between a green apple and a red apple. We need to be looking at Granny Smiths and Granny Smiths side by side on the same day and comparing it that way. Swing is a huge provision in energy contracts. If you're not including 100% swing in your energy contract, you could be susceptible to substantial increases in energy costs because you're being held to the exact kWh that they're anticipating you're going to use. So if you say, I use 1 million kWh, or say 1.2 million kWh for ease, and that means that I use 100,000 kWh every single month for 12 months. I have this flat load, it's 100,000 kWh on the dot every single month, 1.2 million a year. Well, if you don't use that and you don't have 100% swing or swing on your contract, you're going to be penalized drastically for not using exactly 100,000 kWh every single month for 12 months out of the year. I have yet to see an energy bill and a company that uses exactly 100,000 kWh a month, every single month throughout the entire year. So with 100% swing, your usage can go down to 1 kWh or it can double, and you're not penalized one way or the other. Single billing is so that if right now you're getting one bill from Direct Energy and one bill from your utility, you can combine those. You can get one bill 99% of the time from the utility, so that you're even saving money on stamps, you're saving ease for accounts payable and receivables, all the above. So we're looking at all of this for you. Our Energy Solutions division is a growing division here at APPI. For many years, we've been offering energy solutions. We've been helping our clients to explore anaerobic biodigesters, to do lighting retrofits, to have demand response programs, all the above. We do full facility audits. We do online data management systems where all of your bill pay, bills will be uploaded into the system every single month. You can look at your monthly usages. It'll do an analysis, a bill audit. We do the bill audit, make sure that things are correct, and then we can reach out to you whenever there are issues or if there's issues and anomalies. So apart from just energy procurement, the electric and natural gas contract negotiations, the low-hanging fruit to help you save money and create budget certainty, we also do this energy solution side where essentially we're helping out with energy efficiencies and energy sustainability. So if your company has energy efficiency or energy sustainability goals, APPI is here to help. That's something that we've done for many years, and as of last year, we formalized that entire division, and now we're actively helping all of our clients with this on an ongoing basis. And again, while we've been doing it for many years, we've seen a ridiculous amount of success for our clients with drastically reducing their energy costs and creating more favorable usage profiles and all sorts of things. Demand response is an interesting program where literally if you curtail your energy during on-peak periods of time throughout the year, you're called upon to cut off your power or to run backup generators so that you can keep operating, but you're not on the grid. So with demand response, by participating in that, you get paid. And many companies are already participating in demand response, but what they don't realize is that you can negotiate how much you get paid, what percentage you get by participating in that demand response program. A lot of companies have been somewhere in the 70 to 80, 85% range for how much of the profits from that they get. APPI has been successful in getting people to 90%, sometimes more than that. So absolutely something we can help out with as well. Again, by the numbers, we're starting in the mid-90s. Energy markets did not formally deregulate until 1995. APPI was starting in 1995, and we formally opened our doors in 1996. So really, it's hard to be any older than we are in this industry. We serve over 2,100 commercial, industrial, and government entities. We don't do anything with residentials. Obviously, with some of our agribusiness clients who have residential meters, we can include those into the RFP as long as they're owned and operated by a corporate entity. So over 2,100 clients across the United States. That's everyone from small mom and pop pizza shops, but the whole way up to Fortune 500, and we serve everyone in between. Affinity endorsements, that's how we go to market. We structured our business around the association platform very early on, and NPFDA was one of the older groups that we've been working with. So NPFDA has done their due diligence on APPI, as well as a substantial number of other brokers, consultants, and organizations out there to see who will best serve their members. And APPI was selected to exclusively serve NPFDA members for energy services. So we assist with all of that, and really the biggest benefit because of that for you all as members is that we're out to serve you appropriately. And if we don't serve you appropriately, our feet are being held to the fire every single day by NPFDA. If we don't serve you appropriately, you're going to go back to NPFDA and tell them, hey, these guys are not credible. They're not helping us out. They did this to us. They did this to us, and we're going to lose the endorsement, and then we lose access to the members. It is in our best interest at all times to serve you appropriately. And the neat thing there, too, is that there's not just NPFDA doing that. There's 158 other associations around the United States, everything from the Pennsylvania Bankers Association to the National Association of Manufacturers. We also manage, which is closely aligned to NPFDA, NAMI, the old AMI, the North American Meat Institute. So they've selected us as well as their exclusive energy consulting firm. We manage over 10 billion kWh. So our buying clout is substantial. When you go out with your business entity, with your energy spend, you might be using 1 million kWh. You might be using 100 million kWh. But when you're going out into the marketplace, you're only going out with your 100 million kWh. APPI is going out with our 10 billion. And believe it or not, the buying clout in the energy industry does matter. The larger you are, typically the better the pricing you're going to get from these suppliers. So APPI is leveraging that for the benefit of our clients, as well as over 18 million decatherms. A lot of your bills probably say CCF or therms. You have to convert that to decatherms, which is substantially larger than just a CCF or a therm. So if you're using 100,000 CCF or 100,000 therms, that's 10,000 decatherms. APPI manages 18 million. So we're leveraging our natural gas buying cloud as well for our clients' benefit. We mentioned the 36 vetted suppliers that we work with, and briefly mentioned our customer service team before, but that's really important to know as well, where we're here day in and day out. You have a dedicated team standing behind you at APPI. So we all are up to date on what's going on with our accounts. We have a system where we can track absolutely everything, and we have a full service customer service team so that you're not sitting on hold for 30 minutes to get somebody on the phone. If you're not speaking with myself or one of my colleagues, one of my consultants, our customer service team will be there, readily accessible as well. In addition to that, we have a consulting support team, which, in other words, standing right behind us as well is Fran and her team, backing up our entire organization to come to your aid as well. And the 42 employees, obviously, based here in Salisbury, Maryland, which some of you might have actually heard of Salisbury, Maryland. Sometimes it's very rare to get people who know what Salisbury, Maryland is when we're dealing with clients in California and Michigan and Illinois and all these other markets, but you might know it as the home of Purdue. So Purdue Chicken is headquartered here in Salisbury, Maryland. We are headquartered here in Salisbury, Maryland. We are, again, one of the oldest and largest energy consulting firms in the U.S. We manage over $1 billion in energy, and we're here to help. So thank you so much for your time today. If you have any additional questions, please let us know. I think some of you might have sent in questions during the conversation today.
Yes, Ben, we have a couple questions for you. Number one, what if we have multiple facilities in different states?
Yeah, great question. So we do see this pretty regularly with NPFDA members, where you might have facilities in Texas, Pennsylvania, Maryland, Delaware, what have you. So APPI always takes a corporate approach when possible. So we're looking at all locations side by side on the same day through our same proprietary bidding platform. And again, since we service every single market in the U.S., we're able to help with every single facility. And what we oftentimes see is that by looking at things from a corporate level, again, just with the whole leveraging your buying clout, instead of just your 10 million kWh in Maryland, if you have an additional 50 million kWh in Delaware, for instance, if you look at all of it together, you're using 60 million kWh, which is better than the single facility. So when we go out into the marketplace, we do recommend looking at things across state lines at a national scale. So we do highly recommend that you look at all options.
Great. We have a second question. What if my current contract doesn't expire until October 2020?
Yep, another great question. So a lot of companies believe that if they sign a 2-year contract, that your contract starts in October of 2018 and it doesn't expire until October of 2020. So your energy broker, consultant, or supplier is not going to reach out until a couple months before, and then they'll let you know, hey, your contract's about to expire and you should start looking at futures right now. Well, APPI does not think that that's the best approach. Energy markets are a lot like the stock market. So prices are changing every single day. And I don't know about you, but I would have loved to have been able to buy Apple stock years ago. So really the point there is that if you're not extremely proactive with the energy markets, you might not have the ability to hedge at a market low. So what APPI does for all of our clients is as soon as you sign a contract, we're already looking at futures. You might sign a 5-year deal and think that we're just going to fall off the face of the planet, but APPI is here every single day looking at futures. And it might be 2 years in the future, it might be right now. With an October of 2020 expiration, you should highly consider looking at pricing today. There's a really good chance that you're going to see substantial savings by considering energy contracts 18 to 24 months prior to expiration. APPI regularly begins heavy conversations with our clients 18 to 24 months prior because we see favorable buying opportunities for our clients. Obviously, if we start looking at pricing and your contract doesn't expire until October of 2020 and you're paying 6.5 cents in Pennsylvania and pricing comes back at 6.5 cents and you still have a year and a half before your contract expires, you have time. There's no need to sign a contract 18 months in advance at a substantial increase unless you know that the markets have increased. If we're looking at pricing and we're seeing these trend lines where you signed at a market low and over the past year and a half prices are doing this and there's anticipation that prices are going to keep doing this, you might want to consider hedging well in advance of your expiration to avoid any further up here when you get closer to that expiration time frame. But if pricing comes back and you're looking at a significant savings and you're at 6.5 cents and pricing comes back at 5.5 cents and you can hedge a whole penny less for your contract start date in October of 2020, way down the road, 18 months down the road, but at a penny less for an additional 2 years, we would highly recommend that you consider taking that off the table, creating budget certainty and locking into that substantial savings. In theory, the most important thing is to make sure that you're not overlapping contracts. You don't want to start a contract today when your current contract doesn't expire until 2020. That would create early termination fees. But you could hedge today for a contract that starts in October of 2020. So it'd be a seamless transition. As soon as your current contract expires in October of 2020, this new contract would start. So there's really the two key points there, again, is there a substantial savings opportunity by hedging early and creating longer-term budget stability? Or number two, have the markets been increasing substantially and you hedged at a market low and you're still below maybe the multi-year average or something like that. And when we're looking at the markets and all market indicators are showing that prices are still increasing and that there's a very good chance that if you wait within several months of your expiration, instead of being here at an increase, you're going to be here at an increase. You might want to consider hedging here at the increase instead of here at the increase and doing it early and taking that off the table to avoid any further market cost increases. So that's what we look at here at APPI as well. Definitely recommend being proactive.
Thank you, Ben.
All right.
There are no further questions at this time.
Excellent.
If you have any further questions, you can always email Ben at batherton@apppienergy.com. We'd like to thank everyone for participating today, and a special thank you to our presenter, Ben Etherton. This concludes today's presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.